graduates from the winter semester and all the ones that are supposed to graduate in the spring. And I know we currently have openings, 3 sped openings, 3 elementary, and I'm hoping at that time we can find teachers at that, and that's December 4th. And so I'll be going, Carol's going to go, Erin's going to go, and maybe a few principals to see if we can recruit teachers at that teacher fair. I was so thrilled when I got that email them inviting us to meet with those. I'm like, oh, this is a good opportunity to meet with those teachers at that time. One more thing with attendance. Right now we've had 261 referrals to court, Tracy Court, and I know it's really devastating to hear that. And 171 residents have missed over 10 days. But the trend is in the last few weeks that has improved from before, just because I think the tribal, the court has gotten involved to help families. And I can always tell when those letters come out, because then I have families come see me, can we bring our kids back to school? Well, absolutely. There's no consequence from the school. There may be something from the court, but it will look well if you go to court and say, my kids are now back in school. So we welcome them to come back. I think that's it.
Did you say that was the second?
For the recruitment?
For the tribal ed meeting?
First Wednesday.
It's the first Wednesday of December.
Okay,
That's at 1 o'clock. And it will be in the tribal, in the chambers. Yeah.
Any questions?
Do we have any info on what's happening with the proposal by the bus shop for the bus driving shortage? Or how we are addressing the shortage of bus drivers?
I think what he brought was going to we would have to open negotiations to make that salary change. If that's what I think you're talking about.
Well, I was just wondering because it came up and then nothing more has been done with it, and I don't think we've hired any more bus drivers, have we?
No, but I think part of the direction was to contact some other schools and how they're doing it, and that's been done. So we've accumulated that information. Just got.
So maybe we need to add it back to a board work session to discuss.
It's going to be a work in progress, so that we can try to work towards a plan going forward.
Any more questions?
Going through the policy book and the student handbook, and I know that we have an attorney opinion that it's okay, but I don't see in the policy book or the student handbook where we now do board reviews, that's something new. Am I correct in that? That is something new?
Yeah. So the board can decide to continue or not to continue if you don't want to go that route. But it's perfectly okay to go that route, but it's like...
Continue with the review.
No, if we want, it's like an extra layer to kind of prevent something from becoming too long-term, hopefully to prevent it. But if we don't want to do that, we can go straight to recommendation for long-term suspension and have a hearing. It's kind of an extra layer.
I think though that maybe for our board work session, and maybe we should add that policy JKD/JKE to the work session night. Maybe it's something we're going to talk about, because if we're going to decide to go to board reviews, then it needs to be noted in the handbook and put into policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just me, but I wouldn't feel comfortable going into this review if subject to a hearing later on, then I'll recuse myself.
We've done one already.
Yeah.
So if we want to stop, we can stop doing them.
I mean, I think some further discussion needs to happen, and maybe some legal with Paul on it. But I'm just saying that if it's something that we're going to do, it does need to be put into policy in the student handbook so that parents and students are aware that that could possibly be a consequence, because we've added in a layer to consequences that isn't covered under policy, which is probably not a good thing.
Yeah. It is or isn't?
It's not currently there, but Paul said it was acceptable. Yeah. You could add it in. You could amend the handbook,
so maybe,
or not do it at all.
If we decide that's the route we're going to do, then we should amend the handbook, but then we should also go back to that policy JKD and JKE where it talks about all of those consequences and what sequence they're in, to add that. So it is in the policy and in the handbook. Lately, we've been putting the cart before our horses. We need to make sure our horses are before our cart.
Anything else? Thank you. Carol?
What I sent in was our count for the fall here, our current numbers, and then just the different areas of disability that we have within the district and the numbers within those. So, and then we added male or female. So, any questions about? And then there's also a link. It's called a quick reference for the criteria for the different areas of eligibility. So what we have to look at for a student to.
Any questions for Carol?
Thank you for the report, Carol.
Thank you. Rena?
News, our staff attendance went by 4.1%. We're in the 90s now. Our student attendance did increase also, but our enrollment has also increased, and we have 3 more students enrolled this week too. So lots of kids coming to the middle school. For student attendance, we are opening a work-study program. Students were involved in setting expectations for hallways and transitions, and they all requested to have student hall monitors. So we are working with the student council and staff and student representatives from each grade level to make that a reality for them. Clubs, we started more clubs this week to address attendance also, to get kids engaged in another level that's not just the classroom. We're getting huge turnouts. Our cooking class, we're going to have to open another session because kids want to cook. So we're very excited about that, and you know, there's stipulations on our expectations for them to reach to be a part of that, but kids are really excited and wanting to be a part of something other than just basketball or athletics, or they're getting engaged in lots of different levels. We have, for student behavior, we are training staff in Love and Logic curriculum. We really haven't changed a lot of our strategies from the last time, but we did add a layer into our reflect and recovery piece. The counselors are far more involved to intervene on situations that may not need office intervention. So students are going to the counselor first to see, they do a reflect and recovery sheet, to see if they can make better choices and return back to the classroom. If it's something that can't be managed there, then it does come to the office, but typically only class 3 and 4s are coming to the office now, which is nice. Our MAPS data is as listed below. We did a lot of review on the last 2 days of October around our MAP data to make really good decisions on, or make decisions for instruction. We're piloting team teaching with SPED teachers and exploratory teachers. So we have more adults in the classroom to provide more intervention, but also management in those classrooms. And we're very excited. Our teams are excited to be teaching together. So we're looking forward to seeing how that goes for us. That's really about it. The needs I didn't list out there because they're the same, but I'm working with Mr. Blatsky on and our technology, Louis Antoine, to get some quotes on a key system and swipe system. And I do need, I need at least 3 full-time security guards. I have 2 temporary right now and 1 full-time, but for the amount of students that we have and the area that we have to cover, I truly need 2 more full-time positions.
5 total?
Hmm?
5 total?
Oh no, do I have 3 open? Oh. I would have 1 full-time.
So 3 total.
I need 3 total. I would love 4, but maybe I should shoot for 5. Yeah, 5. Sorry, now that one up.
Well, here's 6.
Any questions on anything that we listed in there? You know, Chris and I have been working very hard and pulling our team together, and we're getting there. We're, you know, we have a lot of positive things happening, and very excited to be at the middle school and keep moving forward with the plans that we have.
What is Love and Logic curriculum? Is that something new, Dana, to the middle school?
Well, we've done Love and Logic in the district before, because we did it when we did pieces of it. I believe it's new to the middle school though, but it's really a good way to be far more rational about behavior and not take things so personal. And be
So
able to
is
integrate.
it possible to get a presentation or some information on it?
Sure, definitely. We have the information at the building, but there's also, if you go to Love and Logic, Love and Logic on the website, you can see what they have. They also have it for parents. It's really good. I've seen it before. I went to a presentation at L&I Education Conference when it was like a whole day session, and it was amazing. It's a great behavior management tool for teachers and parents, actually. So maybe as we move forward, as that parent engagement piece, we could add that piece in on a parent night.
Well, I would be interested in seeing maybe a presentation or getting some more
Sure.
information on it. I wasn't aware of the new curriculum. But
Okay, no problem.
It's a PD for teachers, not kids, for teachers.
You know, I had a brief conversation with Dr. Whitney prior to this, but we had a group of kids at our house for sweat the other night, and a couple teachers, but just kind of listening to them and getting their feedback, like, how are you guys liking the changes? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? How's your school? I really think it would be cool if we could involve your student councils at this setting. So I would like to extend an invitation. I don't know, I guess I'm speaking for myself here, but to the student councils of both the middle school and the high school to have a voice here and bring that voice of their fellow co-students to this arena. I think that'd be very powerful.
When she presented, I was like, we should have a student council member.
Yeah. So thank you so
once
much
a
for
month.
coming, and you are welcome here.
And I was going to ask.
Yeah. So I would just like to encourage the school leaders to maybe bring that that piece that's not regularly here. Maybe bring them with you when you report.
Well, and I had a discussion with the gentleman today about there's far more students than there are staff. And if we're going to make a change in the school, our students need to have a voice and be a part of that. So we are inviting them to participate in the hallway expectations, classroom expectations, and giving them choice, because it's much easier for them. Kids listen to them far more than they listen to us. So if we can have our student leaders really take a voice, I think that would be awesome.
Last year we had several schools come in and do a presentation, so we had that. I just don't know what happened to it. But
and
every school
usually
came in
student council used to be on the agenda. Last year they
Yeah.
actually had an agenda
once a month.
once a month.
Once a month.
Yes.
Yeah, he'd all come in with their drum group, and Rosebud, Spring Creek.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you. Cheryl?
Hi, just so you guys know, our student council is here, but they're not on the agenda.
Usually they are. She's
Oh,
you
yeah,
did talk,
she
but I wasn't
talked.
gonna know. Okay, so I appreciate them coming. I told her we didn't have them on the agenda, but she showed up, so that's okay. Just on our report, our attendance has gone down by at least 2 points. If you look at we also added on our year-to-date, not just the monthly reporting one. Our discipline is going up. Our referrals are up from 116 to 196 now. And a lot of it has to do with skipping from the beginning of school until today. We have 90 referrals on just skipping our kids. And there's probably even more that we haven't caught. Tardies, we have 70 referrals. And then our technology devices, we have 65. So I just wanted to give you guys that. On our parent night, we had 167 parents attend, and it was a good turnout, and we were all in the gym, so parents really appreciate that, so they don't have to walk up and down the steps. Some of the things that are going on at the high school right now is Mr. Steve Tamayo came in last week, and we set up a day for Monday and Wednesdays, and he's going to come in and work with students. 20 freshman students. He's gonna start working with cultural activities, and he's gonna follow them through the 12th grade and hopefully get them into some of the cultural camps and stuff that they have towards Milks Camp and other areas on the reservation. So I'm really happy that he came to ask if he could work in the school. During our CWG meetings in the morning, we've been meeting with our grade level CWGs. So during that meeting, the teachers bring to us at least 3 to 5 students who are at risk pertaining to attendance, behavior, or grades. And we discuss the student and we talk about different strategies that the teachers and admin can do to help get the students back on track so we can get them back into the right grade or get them back in the right cohort. And we are very pleased with that work. We do have, oh my goodness, we had a repeat algebra, I believe, and a repeat English. And we had several students who completed, and now, so they're done with their class that they failed last year, and they went into an elective to complete the semester, and then next semester they will be back on track with their regular class on their cohort. So we're really pleased with that. Also, we're working with TFA and also Boys and Girls Club. We're going to have a Saturday school on the 14th. Right now, we only have one freshman student signed up, and it is only for freshmen because that's our biggest number of students that are failing classes. So we're hoping that more parents will hear the announcement and get their students signed up, or students can come in and sign up also. But the school will be open from 10 to 2 that day, and TFA is helping with busing. And then we have like 3 Todd County High School teachers and a couple Boys and Girls Club people that are going to come and help. And TFA is going to provide the little snack for the students. Then on the 10th and the 12th, we have a college application night in our library, and we're also working with TFA and Boys and Girls Club with that. And the seniors are encouraged to come on those nights so they can fill out any type of college applications. And I guess, I never knew this, but during that week, this week, from the 9th through the 13th, college applications are free to any school in the South Dakota. So we're trying to get as many seniors to fill out these applications. But that will be from 3:15 during the day until 5:30 till our activity buses run. You guys want to add anything?
Yeah, it shocked me about the applications being free this week because I already shelled out $200 for them. So.
But other than that, you guys have any questions?
I have a question. Can you explain to me how on the cell phone policy, can you explain how it goes from a class 1 to a class 3?
It's a class 1, and the only time we're going to have it go to a class 3, Melissa, is when the student is like totally disorderly about their cell phone.
So then it won't be called a cell phone violation, it'll be called something else?
Yeah, it'll be called disorderly.
Because
or
just cell
disruption
phone, cell phone is just a class 1, it's not the others.
Yeah. So when they get to the point where we have had some kids get to the point where they're so disorderly and we have to send admin and security and other people up there to get either their phone or to bring them down to the office, then that's when we're going to classify it as disorderly or disruption of the learning environment, because they are disrupting the class. Teachers have to stop teaching, other students have to sit there and watch while a student won't give up their phone because they're not following the school rule.
Okay, I was just wondering because I got a copy of the letter and it said cell phone policy, but then it went down to all these things and these degrees, and it's like may call the police, long-term suspension, and I thought, so then I got my student handbook out, and under cell phone it's only listed as a class 1, so I didn't understand how you took that and made that all these other things, but you're calling it something else.
Yes, and we informed the students of that, but it's a 3-day OSS and it goes to a 5, and then I can't remember what's the next 7. So we're just following the.
So when you write up the ODR, it's not written up when the second time as a cell phone violation?
No.
That's just what precipitated the, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, because we had one student even threw her phone at the teacher.
Well, this is really disheartening, and I didn't know if I was going to ask this tonight, and surely I hope it isn't happening, but I had heard reports that some of our staff being assaulted by students.
Well, that one was, because she got his phone, she buzzed her phone at him.
So according to the handbook, we should have been seeing that person. I don't think anybody should have to tolerate assault in the classroom.
And he went right there.
Do
Any
we
more
have-
questions?
Do we have that problem, sorry, in the middle school? Cell phones?
You know, I personally, like if I go into a classroom and ask for a cell phone, I've never had a student. It is a problem, I mean, they are, but typically if we ask them to turn it over, I've only had one student not, and got pretty loud and pretty, had vulgar language, refused, and he was suspended. But it was because it went beyond, it wasn't just the phone, it was the behavior after the phone, it was asked for the phone to be turned over. Typically, students will just turn it over. They've been very compliant for the most part.
Well, we even have a problem when we call the parent and the parent tries to talk to the student to say, you need to turn your phone in, and that student, the parent gets cussed out and called all kinds of names and everything by the students, and they still won't turn it in. So, and then they're just really attached to their phones. And when we had our student assembly to tell them about what we were going to start doing, then the girls that were brought down to the office because they wouldn't take their earbuds out. So then they took them out in my office, and I said, weren't you at the assembly? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, what was the rule we were talking about? I don't know. And I said, well, what do you mean you don't know? And they're like, well, I had my earbuds in. So they didn't hear anything that we said because they were sitting there listening to their music while we had assembly. And that's what's happening in the classrooms. They're sitting there with the earbuds in, they're texting or they're doing whatever, and they're not even listening to what their teachers are teaching them. So they have no idea what the lesson is, they don't know what the assignment is or anything. And then we're wondering why we have so many kids that are failing in grades.
Got any good ideas to cover that?
Turn them all in when they walk through the door.
Have you asked?
Do we need to
It
visit?
needs to be more strict, I think,
Have
in the
you
handbook.
asked the kids? I mean, last year I know when this came up, we talked a lot about using that technology in the classrooms that they're already bringing, because I think the middle school is having a shortage of laptops at that time. And there was one classroom where I think it was 65% of the kids had smartphones. So we talked about accessing that technology, using their technology, and engaging them, more. Have we?
We have a lot of students that probably can handle that, and we have a lot of students that probably can't, because they just can't be responsible to be where they're supposed to be on those phones or on the computer or whatever it is. It's really, I guess you don't really understand it until you come experience it.
Okay.
And the teachers are, another thing that happened with us kind of coming up with this too is we had inconsistency within each classroom. So we started this policy at the beginning of the year about cell phones, what we were going to do if kids had cell phones. And all the teachers, we were in a big staff meeting, all the teachers agreed they were going to do this. Well, last month we found out, well, Ms. Dekoff's just letting, I can listen to my earbuds in Ms. Dekoff's room, but Mr. Hammer, he don't let us do nothing. So Mr. Hammer's a whatever, but Ms. Dekoff's the best because she's letting us do all this stuff with our technology.
How
Very
active a
inconsistent.
role, student council, are you taking in the things that are going on in your high school in this regard? I'm just thinking back when I was in high school, how active our student council and our student presidents and vice presidents were in creating environment and getting kids to be respectful of the rules, so that instances like this didn't come up where the hammer got dropped on all of you. So how active were you in this? How active are you in it?
Student, yeah, I don't know, we haven't discussed it really, and in student council.
Well, one thing that we did change was last year we'd be able to go on our phones if we don't really talk about anything while we're eating lunch before we discuss stuff, but now we put our phones away.
We certainly could take a more active role in being leaders in that respect, as far as the students that are active in student council.
I mean, I just think that it's sad that you have like your student council and you have your student representatives, that you're not taking a more active role in guiding what's happening for you as students, being that voice, empowering yourselves, and coming to the table with administration and coming to those compromises and using those people, being the role models for your peers.
I'd be interested in hearing what Cheryl, what your teacher's plan was at some point in time.
Yeah.
Because if you guys came up with a plan that you thought would work, maybe you could
Well,
fill us
another
in
thing that
sometime.
happened was a student wrote a really negative letter that was like, we don't know what happened, but he made copies of it, or someone made copies, and they started going around the teachers saying, pass this out, pass this out. Well, everybody was busy, so nobody even really paid attention to that letter. And then at the end of the day, then it was read by several people, and we're like, oh my God, who wrote this, you know? And it had a couple of staff people's names in it and hurt a lot of feelings. And it was basically about two people who make kids follow the rules, and they're, you know, then they're effed up or whatever because they're making people follow the rules. So then these two people really had hurt feelings because they felt like because they were making students follow the rules and other people weren't, that they were like the bad people in the school. And so we had a staff meeting during our in-services that we talked about it. And it got a little heated and people didn't all agree, but you know, we came away from the meeting with everybody feeling okay about this is what's going to happen if we have this policy, and we're just going to have to stick with it. Everyone has to stick together, everybody has to be consistent, everybody has to support each other as staff on this policy, otherwise it's not going to work. And Mr. Hammer had a good story. Mr. Hammer, you could tell them about what your son said.
Oh, my oldest son, he talked about we talked about the cell phone things in the classroom. He goes, yeah, it happens all the time. In this class you can do it, that class you can't. And I go, so it's a battle? And he goes, yeah. Then we talk a little history throughout the years, and he goes, it's your Vietnam. You'll never win the battle, but you can at least try, but you'll never win it. But I've talked to other principals in the area. Some schools like Chamberlain, I was talking to Bertram this weekend, and he goes, with our cell phone policy, it was you walk in the door, it's in your locker, it's not sight. He goes, we couldn't control that no more than you guys could. What they basically did is exactly what we've been doing, is in the classroom, not at all, in the hallway, lunch, during your passings, go ahead and use it. But once you come into that classroom, it's done, it's out of sight. Because they've had the same things we've had. Get on Facebook during class, meet you outside, stuff like that, get those threats. You know, 2 years ago we had a big problem with those types of issues, but these last 2 years it's been down big time. So.
We're not giving them free Wi-Fi, are we?
Yeah.
How are you going to limit it?
But you can't access Facebook with it.
I saw an interesting thing on
You can go with
Facebook
proxies.
where it was like a deal where to be counted, otherwise you were counted tardy or absent.
Oh.
Your cell phone had to be in the little pocket.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that. That was kind of a neat idea. I think Shiloh's name was referenced in having that at her classroom.
I'd be interested in some more ideas, the realistic ones to get this under control. So I'm open.
And I guess that policy you guys are talking about, bring it to us so we can see it too, so.
Okay. It's not really a policy, it's just a cell phone thing, and then we just added the disorderly, so we probably need to highlight disorderly under that, where those consequences are.
So we need to bring that to our work session and talk about it more in depth.
Yeah, maybe. I'd be interested to see what student council's idea of how to address the situation, what the students come up with on how to address it.
We have a meeting tomorrow, so we can add that into our.
How to help administration to ensure that all that kids' education isn't disrupted. So I'd be interested to see what their take is on it.
Sure.
From a kid, just from a student's view.
Okay.
Any more questions for Cheryl in the high school?
I have two quick ones.
Okay.
ICU, can you explain ICU to me? And like, is it working? Are we monitoring the effectiveness of it? Brief on ICU, and then how that differs from seminar.
ICU is like, we call it ICU for intensive care unit, and we want the students that have a lot of missing assignments to take the opportunity during that time to make up their missing work from 3:15 to 3:45. And we are monitoring it, but we still have the same amount of students, probably, I don't know how long Mr. Hammer, he kind of monitors that, but We usually have anywhere from 100 to 110 students that have maybe 1 or 2 missing assignments, and they get to go to incentive every Friday, or every day, if they don't have any work to catch up on. And the 2 missing assignments is like you can have 1 out in one class and 1 out in another class, but if you have more than 2, you can't go to incentive. But we still have a large number of students that are failing, so it's just getting probably more monitoring and making teachers a little bit more accountable on when, like, Peggy, you have 5 assignments out, Mike, I know you have 20. We need to.
You're just getting
We need to make sure you're bringing your work into the class to do it, but when they get in there, some teachers aren't like saying, okay, well, Peggy, you didn't bring any work, what are you gonna do? They don't say, go back to your locker or get it, or tomorrow you better make sure you have some work. So that's something that we're working on there. Where a seminar is just like a 20-minute time when some students go to lunch and then some are in seminar, and then those ones come back and the other ones go to lunch. And that's just a time when teachers talk about like college, or they work on different skills, social skills with the students. They come up with a little activity. Some of them watch news. So it's just like a short period of time where they find things for kids to do.
So combined, those are about 55 minutes?
Yeah, 50.
Any more questions? Thank you. Richard, tell us about technology.
This is true.
First of all, Lakeview, waiting on the car, whatever help she needs. She needs somebody to come in, if she needs piece of equipment or whatever. She's been out of office for the past 4 days. She'll be back tomorrow. I'll get it right away in the morning. We'll figure it out and get it done as fast as we can. What I'm handing out there is, Dr. Whitney asked me to put together a plan for Spring Creek, Key Dog, and Rosewood about their printer situation, get the money down out there. I'll start with Spring Creek real quick. We're not pushing black and white printers in the classrooms. They are, like I said, the price is $126 a piece, and the ink cartridge is $214. And that ink cartridge will push out 13,000 sheets. That means the teacher can make their 2 copies, go with a copy machine. That 1 cartridge should last them all year, if they do it that way. I also understand, like on the trailers in the winter, sometimes it's not easy for them to walk into school because of the weather. So that 13,000 copy ink will allow them to make copies within the trailer. And you look at the price for Spring Creek is under $4,000 to do the new printers, plus the ink, plus the color ink for existing color LaserJet Pros that they already have. So we do not have to purchase any other printers other than those 4 black and white for Spring Creek. And then your average yearly cost is about $2,500. It depends. Ink actually goes up and down in price, just like oil is. When there's less of it, it gets pretty expensive. When there's more of it, it's cheaper. And also, I didn't put in the price of if things break down or parts need replaced, stuff like that. That's just gonna, some years it may happen, some years it may not happen. All right. And then,
George,
go ahead.
you'll probably answer this question, but let me ask. Is there any way in any of these you could do network printers? Or is it because their internet isn't so great in these outlying areas?
They're all network printers.
But I mean...
But there's only one per like classrooms. I mean, like Rosewood would be 1 for 2 classrooms out in the trailers. I understand what you're saying, but like I said...
Because Spring Creek's so small, I mean...
yeah. I also have another plan where they can just plug right to the printer. We don't have to order them anything. They're good to go right now.
Okay.
It's just that, like I said, wintertime, coming in and going people out, it's just a pain in the neck. I really have one sitting there that I can use. And these are heavy-duty laser jets. They will last 5, 6 years before we have to replace them. And 1 cartridge a year, $800 to get 1 cartridge for each classroom per year.
Okay.
Compared to what we're paying now, it's 15, 20% compared to what we were paying before. And then next would be HEDOG. T-Dog has a bunch of these HP color jet laser pros. They have 10 of them total. So I'm gonna, if this goes through, push them out to the other schools instead of buying new ones for new color printers for other schools. Have them sitting there. Once again, 8 HP black and whites, 1 per trailer, 1 in the classroom, and 1 in the main building for the inside classroom. They have a printer, but it's not a networkable copier, excuse me, so we cannot connect to it. So we have 1 black and white, we use the 4 color, we keep them there. And then the pricing is $3,500 to do it this year, and an approximate $5,000 per year after that for it. Which is, I believe they have like $18,000.
$18,000 in ink is what they wanted
for about a semester
for this
of 8.
year. Yeah, it was amazingly expensive. And so this
We
was
cut
like
it down by,
$100.
what was that, 85%.
Yeah. Oh, huge.
And then Rosebud, since it's a bigger school, but they do have a new copier. They have what's called a Conic Minolta VizHub. And that's what the outlying trailers, they get their 1 HP black white, and that's 1 per 2 classrooms down there. And inside we use the Konica Minolta VizHub, which all those classes from the inside can connect to that and print black and white. And then the outside staff can make their copies, and then there's also another black and white printer that can come and make their copies on that. And then I'm going to pull 4 of the LaserJet Pro from T-Dog, put in there as their color. We'll have a little area set next to the printer and stuff so they can print right to them. I'll split them up so many classrooms per printer, so that way they don't get overloaded. And then you're looking at total $12,000, and approximate yearly in cost of $8,000, which is, once again, it's about 20% of what they were usually spending.
It's a good idea.
And then on the back, there's the total money and expenditures for this year, or this summer to do this, is $23,154 to replace everything, get them changed over. And then yearly is about $16,000, depending on the price of the ink, which we don't know. She also asked me to talk about technology purchases, like what do you want to know, how it's done, or like the end of the year purchasing.
The cycle, just explain the cycle, how we
Oh, the
replace
cycle,
them.
it's we do quarter every 4 years. We take the total number of staff and students, and then 25%. And then it usually comes down to money after that, how much money there is. Some years there's more, and some years there's less. And I do my darndest to get as many computers as I can with that money. Plus, the attendance goes up, it goes down, and there's changes, so there's never really a true number to get. And there were some years where they bought extra computers out of their own extra money they had. So then in 4 years, those computers are gone, so they lose a whole lot more than they should be losing. To me, we're stuck on buying apples. I brought this up to Chad and Dr. Bodo a few years ago about changing this, and when that's when Carl was vice president, and it was voted down, and we had to stay what was called a MAC school. My thing is use the right tool for the job. Like high school social studies, they just need a Chromebook to research, do their typing on a Word document, print it out. $400. Okay? And then kindergarten tablets instead of 5 laptops, 5 desktop tablets. You know, it's just a different way to look at things. And my feeling also, we should have PCs in the high school. Because when our kids get out in the world, they're going to have to use both. There's some businesses, you won't see a Mac in sight anywhere. There's some businesses, it's all PCs. You work for the federal government, PCs. You go into somewhere creative, it tends to be Mac. And I'm open to listen to change in the ideas. You know, I want to get as much units out to our people as possible. I mean, it's just, there's all kinds of ideas, and I'd like to hear them.
George, what do you see other school districts, besides Todd County being a MAC school, are more other school districts leaning towards going the other way, like with Chromebooks and...
There's some that are just strictly Chromebooks, like Sioux Falls School, they just do Chromebooks. What about us and Douglas? pretty much all Mac. You know, the rest of them are mixes. You know, like I said, the right tool for the job and the right class. You know, like art classes, iPads, desktops in the back to do research on different things. We just got to start looking at not how we're using the units in the classroom and we can come up with better.
Do we have, is our inventory of all of our IT, what would you say that looks like?
We have a little over 2,200 machines. We have a little over 1,900 on my tech inventory we have across the street. We have some we've never got to touch. And Dr. Whitney's been working with us to get those people to bring the computers to us so we can recon them in, which is add them to our system, so we can keep track of them, we can push software up to them, and put what's called our Prey software on there. Does everybody know what that is? Our Prey software is our security software. It allows us to track a missing computer. It will take GPS, it will keep track of what they're doing. Please tell us when they're going to show up. We can turn the alarm on really loud so they can hear it inside the house. And we've been using that, and it has worked for us. We have used that to get back into our equipment. And how that works, we get the information, we give it to Mr. Swally, he takes it down to the Rosewood Police Department, and they pass it on to whoever it needs to go. Plus, then we got another over 300 plus tablets within the district. You know, as of right now, with all of it, we do have one-to-one with all the technology, but some classes have 20 laptops, and the iPads in there too. It's not being, you know, spread out. And that's what I was bringing up about the classrooms deciding how they want their classrooms. You know, maybe some teacher just wants the iPads, or some wants just only 5 machines. And we need to kind of look at that too. That way, if I know more, I can, if we can lower like tablets down, I can purchase more.
I may be wrong, but I think years ago, I remember that the 4-year cycle, and a lot of it was paid with it. Was it E-rate? Is that what it was called?
Nope.
No, Title I money, actually.
Title I?
No, you cannot buy any units with E-rate.
Right.
Did we used to? I
Nope.
thought we did at one point.
Not those machines. We've done a lot through the E-rate program.
Okay.
I mean, that's a whole nother discussion, but.
Okay, my mistake then. Thank you. Any more questions?
No, thank you, George.
When you say you can send out software to the teachers' computers,
Yep.
can we do that now since the techs are out there? In the
Yeah,
other
we do
schools?
it. We just pushed out our newest testing software. We did. Last time I checked, it was over 1,700 machines who received this software. We got a little over 100 and something left to put them on right. And those are machines that are in the system, but they're either broken or they're missing within the school itself. That does happen. And there are also some that we haven't touched. We have to go out to do it by hands. Are there also some that are the image got stopped? Kid turned it off, turned the machine off all the way. But yeah, we can push out software. Even more. You just get the software from whoever. We make a package, and we can start pushing it out usually within a day. And it usually takes 2 weeks for it to cycle through to everybody. So the sooner we get it, the faster we can get it out to everybody.
Richard, the number of or the equipment that's not being accounted for, or they're not, that you haven't touched, is that a high number?
It's probably about a little over 100. So
and is that
we've been hitting them every time. When we go out to work on them, we just automatically recon them and put RAM on them. Just every time we touch one. It's just, we can do that with PC, Macs, we can do it with the iPhones, and we can do it with pretty much anything. And we put it on all our tablets and we image them, we put it on every machine we image, we make darn sure that all that stuff's on there so we keep track of it. It just makes our life easier that we know where it's at.
So is there people refusing to bring them to you?
Some of them do, yeah. Some of them do not like us to touch their computer. They think we're going to lose it or
we need
we're
to
going
visit
to...
about too. I've been working on it. Is that there should be some consequences for them? I mean, why are they not?
Sometimes we don't know where they're at. Is that correct, Richard? Some of the ones that haven't been brought in, we don't know where they're at.
Yeah, because we haven't gotten into the system.
Do they realize that these are like pieces of equipment given to them
That
to
there's
do
a
their
school-
job, but
school's
they're not
equipment.
their personal
Yeah,
equipment?
some of them believe it's their own machines.
Okay.
Any more questions? If not, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, George, thanks for coming.
Come back again and join us.
All right.
It is hard to.
Pay bills.
Just an afternoon second.
Moved by Melissa, seconded by Gina to pay the bills. Any discussion? All in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. 4.2, October financial statement. Moved by Melissa to approve the financial statement as submitted. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
4.3, first reading of policies. The first one we have is a sample policy for a public comment. Okay, I'm sure everybody's seen that one. So it's presented. You, Wayne?
Well, I'm coming back.
Oh, you are? Okay. Thought you just leave.
Yeah,
All right, come back. Second policy, the first reading. Now our dilemma is we have two of them. We have one that was submitted on the agenda, one that Melissa brought forward. So I would like to have a consensus of the board, which one that they would like to consider for the first reading. Either the one that is on the agenda and presented or the one that Melissa brought in.
If we're gonna take a vote, I will say Melissa's right now,
Okay.
but I'm in favor of.
Gina?
Sure, Melissa's.
Evie?
What's the difference? Is that we just have an exception,
What?
right? That there's just an exception.
Do you want to
Is that your
explain,
main
Melissa?
concern?
My main concern is taking the attendance off of it.
And I will remind you, according to our policy, this is first reading. There's no discussion, no debate. It's just to introduce the policy. At the next meeting, we will discuss. We will have our second reading. We can debate, and then we can actually do our third reading on the night we do our second reading and approve whichever policy. We just have to decide tonight which policy that we want to bring forth to the next meeting.
Sure, I'm along with it.
Melissa's? Melissa? Okay, then it will be Melissa's. I disagree, but that's my vote. But we will bring Melissa's for the second reading at the next board meeting. Okay, 4.4, surplus airplane. Moved by Melissa to declare it surplus property.
I'm sorry.
4.4.
I'll go second with.
To surplus.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none,
Yeah,
all those in
that-
favor say yes?
I would like to have discussion.
Yes, go ahead.
As far as surplus too, going to Chad, are we ready for a surplus? Because we've been talking about it for a couple of years now.
Yeah, we held off from having one last year because we were going through the building of the new school. So there will be a surplus sale. We're gonna have to because we're getting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think we
Especially
also,
north, right?
I also need to push that we need to start making a decision on North Elementary. I know I get quite a few calls from quite a few different people. I hate to see a building sit empty, and I just think we need to continue to have that discussion. I know the board previously took it off. I think it's something that we should start having conversations on again, so.
So maybe board work session?
And we got rid of all the trailers over there, correct?
All but one we've received cash for. There have been only 2 leave the property so far.
So there might be one still available.
Might be one still available. I also would like eventually here, we've got a discussion on some trailers over alternative. Last board meeting, we talked about Dana going shopping for a trailer, you know, and if we're gonna move one to Oak Creek, and that's the intent of what, you know, how we're gonna serve out there. We need to get that done so that we can start planning accordingly. And then there's also one at Littleburg that I'd like to surplus. So I would anticipate there'd be in 3 to 4 trailers that we would come and ask for permission from the board to go out and advertise for. Because we wouldn't go through the government agencies like we did this last time. We'll have to go through a sealed bid process for those, and then open it up to the public, advertise for a couple weeks, and accept those bids as they come, so.
Okay, we do have a specific motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion pertaining to that motion? Any more?
Yeah, that was, my surplus was my question, so.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, same sign. 4.5, donation of Nebraska Civil Air Patrol, the airplane. Do I have a motion?
Move with some discussion.
Moved by Melissa. Second by Evie. Discussion?
On the letter that was attached, it asked for just the
Shall?
Just the shell, but the motion is for the kit and motor.
That is the shell, Melissa.
Then why was the motion different than what the letter says?
Probably because it's two different terms for the same thing.
And then I guess my other question is, I know that our students didn't want this, to work on this, or there was nobody here who was interested in working on it with students. And I just, this is in Nebraska and we're South Dakota. And I just wondered, you know, we have 151 other public school districts in South Dakota. If there is a school district in South Dakota that if they were aware of this, they would be interested in it because it was purchased for kids and it's funding within South Dakota for the kids in South Dakota, that I would just like us to maybe consider putting it out there to other school districts in South Dakota to see if there are some kids. I know there are several vocational schools, high schools that have started in South Dakota, if there are any interest in it.
Yeah, I guess we just, it's moving way too fast. We just need to slow down a little bit. I mean, we got it on surplus, so.
Surplus and then donation.
Yeah.
Because
I don't want to show favoritism. So maybe keep it on surplus and then have a board discussion if we want to do that as far as donation.
And I know there was some concern about it being at the high school, but maybe we could move it to North Elementary and get it out of the high school shop.
yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay, well then defeat the motion. All those in favor, any more discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. All those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, thank you. And just a reminder that the Nebraska wing of the Civil Air Patrol, I think, donated a lot of equipment for the STEM program in the middle school, telescopes, robotics, all types of stuff last year that the school district was very, very happy to get. I just thought I'd throw that out. 5.1, certified staff recommendations. Moved by Melissa.
Second.
Seconded by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, same sign. 5.2, staff recommendations, and I believe there's an addition to that. Dr. Whitney?
I think they, did you move it to executive?
We moved it to
Oh, we moved it to exec, excuse me. 5.3, supplemental offers. Moved by Melissa.
Second.
Seconded by Travis. Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes. 5.4, substitutes and volunteers.
I'll move.
Moved by Melissa. Seconded by Evie. Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Board discussion. Tina?
Nothing at this time.
Travis?
I just thank all the administrators for coming, student council, I appreciate it. Hope to see you next month. And just like to acknowledge just the previous one we just did for her master's she got, right? Alicia King, so her BA plus 36, just to acknowledge that. Yeah, that's it.
Evie?
Maybe like what Travis said, thank you all for all the work that you do and the job that you guys do with our children. Thank you, student council, for coming. I hope to see your guys' faces more. I want to just give an update. I know Dana's here from last time, but on the BIA school issue, we'll talk more about it in executive session to iron some kinks out we have as a board with it. But I wanted to not pass up the opportunity to take advantage of one of our tribal leaders that's here tonight that's actually a representative of Oak Creek, and just kind of bring you up to speed in very briefly about the schools. And essentially there's 4 BIA schools that are at least to the Tahoe County School District, 3 of which are condemned and recommended to be demolished. 1 of those is Oak Creek. One's Hedog and the other is Spring Creek. There's significant health and safety issues that have been identified in those schools by the Department of Interior, Division of BIA.
Would that include just the school of Hedog or the gym too?
No, actually, we built the gym, the school built the gym. That's not a part of the lease, just to clarify.
Oak Creek or Hedog?
All the above, all the above.
Okay. So there's a haziness of where the responsibility lies with in fixing those buildings. Are we gonna fix it? The school district quiet, is it the federal government? And frankly, we just need to come to a plan to get it resolved and quit the finger pointing back and forth. And so Dr. Whitney and I worked with Chad, and we got a package put together. We sent it with Vice President Herman, and I think Brian Dillon went, O.J. Siemens, Willie Bearshield.
Took it to DC?
Took it to DC last week, and they met with Department of Interior. They met with our own 2 senators and our representative, and then a few other different states representatives. So they brought some attention to it. As a tribe, we need to continue from the tribal side, bringing that attention, working with the school district. But there is huge level politics that are involved in this, and at one time Oak Creek specifically was number 3 on the list to be replaced, and then over a period of 5 to 6 years that was no longer the case. And so just trying to figure out where did that roadblock come in and why, and how do we resolve it for the health and safety of our students and our staff in those schools. So I am a Tahoe County School District board member, but I'm also the primary health advocate for the people of this reservation. So I'm kind of in this from both angles, and just feel like that is huge health and safety concerns of mine as a school board member, but also as the health administrator for this tribe. So I would invite you and hope that you can help us get to the bottom of this and really get resolution to this ongoing issue, and for the sake of the health and safety of our children and our staff.
Thanks, I'll keep in touch with them.
Thank you.
We're working on it still, and well, as things go forward and whatever we decide tonight, however we're going to go forward, I'll continue to update you guys. So,
Melissa.
I want to thank you all for coming tonight, and student council. It's good to see you. I hope you guys be a strong voice in your school and advocate for your peers. And everybody come to school. Please come to school. It's really important. Come to school. And thank you all for coming. I know you have busy days and then you have to come here, so thank you. I appreciate the time you give us.
Okay, we will not have executive session for the student hearings because the board didn't want to have them. They're not here, good. Well, we will have an executive session for personnel, and I haven't the foggiest idea what SDCL number it is, but I'm sure there's ones we can stick into minutes. One. Okay, good. So moved by Melissa for an executive session in about 5 minutes. Is there a second? Seconded by Gina.
I'll give you some more information.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All the same sign, motion carries.